Today is Saturday, October 10th, 2015, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. and you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss the strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you are listening live, you can call in with your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. Now, a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job seeker workshops as well as a one-on-one job seeker boot camp. For more information, go to www.bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is a low-cost, high-quality resume writing company with resumes as low as $35 written by certified resume writers. You can find them online at resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. Be sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you, make your resume available 24/7, and get a professional, personalized email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and for more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you're thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long complicated applications, branding and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find out the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I almost got through the intro without a mistake. Almost, it was that close. Hope everybody had a good, productive week. Anybody who's tuning in live, I thank you so much for getting up early in the morning with me like this. As I always say, stuff happens on Saturdays, and today I got long story short, I have a karate test coming up in 2 weeks from today, actually, and I have to go and practice this morning with other people. I'm doing a sparring, so I get to beat up on people and get beat up by a bunch of people this morning, so I had to do this show now, and then later on today, I got to drive to Alabama for a band competition. Word of note on the side note, if you have kids in high school, junior high, whatever, and they're participating in any extracurricular activity, go. Don't question why. Go. They're your children. Go and enjoy it. Enjoy every minute you can with them. Anyway, that's my little, that's not a rabbit hole because kids are never a rabbit hole. Haha. So all you people doing a drinking game, don't drink up. First, before we get into today's show, this week, excuse me, for newcomers, we usually do the first Saturday of the month as Job Search Q&A, but I forgot and did something else last week, so we're doing it this week. Before we get into that, let me tell you about the upcoming show we have. I talked about it last week, and then I set a date, and then I had to change the date. But we got Job Seeker Speed Dating, and no, it's not a romantic thing. You'll get to come on the air. Anybody who calls in, come on the air and you'll give your 30-second elevator speech. You'll talk about who you are, what your background is, what you're looking for, and how to reach you. The intent is that I'm also reaching out to some recruiters to come in and listen on the show. So hopefully you'll have people listening to you. If recruiters are trying to find certain types of people, this would be a great opportunity for them. It's free. First of all, it's free. I'm not charging. I'm not making a dime. I'm not charging anybody for this. But I'm hoping to get as many people as possible. We'll just call in your 30 seconds of fame and give your elevator speech. We won't be posting pictures or anything like that. Everything that will come from it will come from you giving your contact information, be it email, a phone number, or a website or whatever. The goal is for job seekers to be able to get their information out there. That is the goal, period, for job seekers to get their information out there. So if you are looking for a job, or if you know anybody looking for a job, or if you're a part of a network of job seekers, please spread the word. It's going to happen. We had to change the date. The date is now November 14th. Okay, November 14th of this year from 10 to 10:30 a.m. Take as many calls as I can. Okay, the more people call, the better. If only a few people call, well, everybody who does call will get a few extra minutes to talk about what they're doing. Okay, so spread the word. Again, it's on November 14th, 10 to 10:30 Eastern Time. California people, sorry, you got to get up early. 10 to 10:30 right here. The number you'll call into is 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. That's the number you'll call in, and you'll give your elevator speech. Who you are, your background, what you're looking for, and how to reach you. I'm not making any promises. I'm not saying you do this, you'll get a job. I'm hoping to have some recruiters call in, maybe a couple of hiring managers, who knows. But I'm trying to spread the word through LinkedIn and the Facebook page and everywhere I can. So again, this is just, we tried this a couple of years ago and I messed up in the marketing of it, I'll put it like that. So this time we're trying to do it again, we're trying to do it better. So again, if you're a job seeker, you know a job seeker, please have them call in to the show. This is not about me, this is about you guys, remember that, okay? So anyway, enough of the commercial. But don't forget the date, November 14th, people. November 14th, 10 to 10:30 Eastern Time. Okay, so today's show is our job search Q&A. And I get questions either via Twitter or the Facebook page or in person. People email me, or if I sit with a job seeker and try to help them get their job search on track or keep it on track or just go through what they're doing. People ask me questions. And what I try to do is take those questions that people ask, and if I think they're a good question for everybody, then yeah, we'll put it out here for everybody. So that's how this came about. You can call in now if you're listening live, 347-202-0929 if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll just go through some of the questions I've gotten and discussions I've had this week and the last few weeks, and we'll just go from there. So the first question, yes, I got notes this week, people. Newcomers are wondering what that is all about. A lot of times, yeah, I don't have notes, but this is one of those weeks. This past week, saw on Facebook, and some of you might have seen it. I don't know how true it is because it was on Facebook, so yeah, I'll take it for what it is. But actor Richard Gere, apparently he went in disguise as a homeless person for 24 hours just to see what the experience was like. And apparently it like rocked him. And when he came out of it, he went out and started handing out $100 bills or $100 in cash or whatever to homeless people. I'm thinking, okay, I just thought about it. I hope he's not giving $100 bills. Because think about it, you're a homeless person and you got to go buy something. You got to give a $100 bill. They're going to look at you like, anyway. But yeah, it had a profound effect on him. And what it made me think about was that in transition, here's the thing, when you're looking for a job, the longer you look, the worse you feel. And you can really easily start to feel like it can't get any worse. And just remember something, there is always somebody worse off than you, more worse off than you, or less better off than you. In transition, you might think, I'm about to get kicked out of my house, and there's somebody who got kicked out last week. You might think I need, I don't know what to do. My elevator speech is almost good. Trust me, you go to enough networking events, you will hear elevator speeches that will curl your toes. The point is, there's always somebody more worse off, if that's a way of saying it, than you are. So as I've said on this show many times, try to help somebody. One of the best ways to get through transition is to be selfless, is to try to help other people. Because there's always somebody out there who is worse off than you. You know, somebody out there who's at their the last rope. You know, some of you have seen that picture of the guy who was going to commit suicide. He's standing on the bridge, and he's standing there, and he's crying, and he's about to commit suicide. And there's a cop standing over him, and the cop is just talking to him, and the cop eventually talked him back off the bridge. And 7 or 8 years later, the same man gave the cop an award at a suicide survivors banquet where they were honoring that particular officer. There's always somebody somewhere who's worse off than you. So don't get caught up feeling sorry for yourself because of your situation. Yeah, it sucks. But feeling sorry doesn't help the situation at all. Feeling sorry for yourself does not help. Feeling sorry doesn't put food on the table, doesn't put clothes on your back. Okay? The question is always, so what are you going to do about it? You know, one of the early stories I talked about on this show, way back when I first started it, I never forget, was a woman. I went to a job networking event, and she was in distress, and she was saying that she was living in a hotel, and the meeting we had was on a Monday, and she was saying that that Friday she was about to be evicted from that hotel, and she had nowhere to go. And obviously that was a very stressful time in her life. And I asked her, and this is when it came to me. I asked her a simple question. I stood there with her, you know, she cried, and, you know, we talked for a minute. And then I said, okay, simple question. What are you going to do about it? You see that train coming down the track. What are you going to do about it? Point is, you go down fighting. You never give up. She may be not able to do anything during that week, but she could try. I don't know what happened to her because I never saw her again. She never came back to the networking meeting. But that question is always the thing. What can you do about it? So don't feel sorry for yourself. Never feel sorry for yourself. As bad as it is, never feel sorry for yourself, because no matter what, somebody's got it more worse off. And self-pity, those pity parties, yeah, you can have a pity party, but come out of it, because the question becomes, what are you going to do about it? That is the basic question in life. What is it that's saying? Most of life is not what happens to you, but how you deal with it. Transition is not you. Transition is something that happened to you. To paraphrase Denzel Washington, who paraphrased Malcolm X, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. We didn't land in transition, people. Transition landed on us. Okay? But what are you going to do about it? That is the simple question of life. What are you going to do about it? Okay? So never forget that. No matter what happens, what are you going to do about it? And go accordingly. So that wasn't really a question. That was just something that came to me. That wasn't a rat hole. Well, you can call it a rat hole if you want. If you want to go drink, go ahead and drink. Here's a question. What do you do when you find yourself unemployed in a new town where you don't know anybody? Sometimes people have moved for a job, moved their family, and then found themselves out of work. I did that. I moved my family 1,100 miles. And within about 2 years, didn't even take that long. I think within about 6 months, this is going to be a problem because of the situation at the job. And within 2 years, I was out of work, and I knew nobody. Not only was I in a new town, I was in a new state. I was in a new region of the country. I knew literally 3 or 4 people in the state, and they were all working. But I didn't know anybody. I have a friend or somebody I talk to who's going through a similar situation right now. They recently moved, and they don't know anybody in the town, and the position that they moved for, it didn't pan out for whatever reason. So what do? Well, luckily, you have the internet. Um, Job search today, in my opinion, is 70-80% online. The non-online part is your networking. You network in person as much as you can. Get your face in front of people. Um, but you can go online. Find out if there are job networking events in your town or near your town. I'm very fortunate down here in the ATL area, that we have a thriving, huge job networking community. I mean, it's ridiculous. Um, we're blessed. We're fortunate in that. I'm not bragging about it because I didn't set it up, but when you find yourself out there, it's a blessing. It is really a blessing. Um, that we have that. But a lot of towns don't have that. A lot of cities don't have that. Or if you have that network, it's hard to find it. Um, but find out. Do a Google search on job networking in your town or surrounding area. Go on LinkedIn. See if there's a LinkedIn group of people who are job seekers, who they may have set up a group. If there isn't, set up a group. Job seekers in Shawangunk, New York, or wherever, or Ossining, or wherever. Set up that group and see if you get people to join. Build that community. The thing about job search now, it's not that where it used to be where you could just go from business to business to business to business and hand off your resume. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's not how it is. Now it's all online. You can apply for a job across the country just as easy as you can apply for a job down the street. Go online and fill out their application. So even if you're feeling isolated like that, your job search doesn't have to necessarily change. You won't necessarily what you're trying to build up then is that camaraderie, that physical presence where you can get that physical visual support from people near you, where you can go for coffee with people, and talk about what's going on and what opportunities are out there. That's what you're trying to build up. But but you don't have to, your job search itself is mostly probably going to be online. A lot of your networking will probably be online. So even if you're in a small town where you don't know anybody, luckily we have the internet where you can do a lot of your job search. Okay, so if you're in a new town, you don't know anybody. Yeah, build your own network. If there is not a network, if there is one, join it. But if there isn't one, build it. Job search, being in transition is not just, it's dealing with transition. And sometimes dealing with transition doesn't mean you're applying for 50 and 60 and 80 jobs a day. Okay, it's dealing with transition. Okay, it's social, emotional, that roller coaster you go on. That's what being in transition is all about. It's not about the looking for the job part. It's about those other things. So anyway, hopefully that helps. But yeah, just go try to build your network or find one locally, and do all your searching over the internet like everybody else does. Side note, for anybody, this past week was 3 days ago was my mother's birthday. I usually never talk about family, but she passed away 9 years ago due to cancer, and 7th was her birthday. So, Ma, happy birthday. Okay, sorry, but I know she's with me. So, here's a good one. What do you do when you recognize that your career is being stalled? I won't say we've all been in that situation, but a lot of people have been in that situation where for some reason other than performance, their career is being stymied. And what I mean by that is there's no place for promotion for them. There are opportunities, but for whatever reason, they may not be able, they won't be getting those. It could be a racial issue. It could be a sex issue. And when I say sex issue, I mean because they're female or because they're male. I've known organizations. I knew, and I give her all the credit for it. There was a woman at the first company I worked for. She had built a network of women, and this is going back about 20 some years ago. I said, go girl. But she had built a network of women that she had she had promoted women into different levels of management. But what about the people that were left behind? Because a lot of times in companies, promotions aren't necessarily always going to the person that most deserves. And then who excuse me, most deserves is a subjective measure. But my point is, what do you do if you find yourself in that situation where you look around and you say, you know what, everybody else in this department is getting promotions, getting accolades, but they're getting promotions. I'm getting accolades and no promotions. First is to recognize that. Now, when you first recognize that that's what's going on, you think that's what's going on, the first knee-jerk reaction response to that is anger, frustration, anger. But what do you do about it? Again, the question I asked earlier, what are you going to do about it? Well, if you realize you can't move up in that particular organization, in that particular department, can you move out of that department? What happens is we get complacent, and I will be the first one to admit I did that. I was in a situation, I was in a job where there's, the job, I didn't like it, and it wasn't going pretty, but I wouldn't have left. You want to know why I trust God? Because on that particular job, God sent somebody to me. He sent a recruiter to me and said, hey, and that person called me out of the blue and got me out of that situation. My point is, I wouldn't have left. I got complacent. Even when I wasn't happy, I got complacent. And you start to feel like, you start to internalize it. You start to think that you can't, you start to internalize the outward structure, meaning you start to feel like you can't perform anywhere, that you are not a good employee because certain people don't value you. And that will stymie your growth. That will stymie your ability to move up in your career because you start to personalize. You start to think it must be something wrong with me. If I'm not getting the promotions that I feel I deserve, I must be doing something bad. And you tend to, job searchers like dating people. Think about it. How many people have been in relationships where the person they're in a relationship with makes them feel bad about themselves, but they never leave? Okay, they just stay there. Okay, I was in that situation, and I should have left the job. I should have been looking, but I wasn't. Just dealing with the job and everything. I just didn't leave. When somebody came along and made me an offer, and I took it and ran, and it worked out really well. But my point is this: don't get complacent like that. Don't internalize it. That old saying about somebody can't make you feel bad without your permission. That's very true. They can't make you feel bad unless you let them make you feel bad. I let people make me feel bad. I see that now, but I did that. I let people make me feel bad. And honestly, that sucks. Okay, when you let somebody make you feel bad, because then they control you. In an employment situation, as well as a dating situation, a romantic relationship situation, if you let somebody make you feel bad, they control you, and you don't want to give that control. I've been there, and it sucks. Okay, I'm talking from experience now. Okay, you want to know what job it was? Go back to listen to the show a couple of months ago I did on bad job experiences that I've had. And I've had my share, and probably a few other people share. I'm not blaming anybody because I would feel like some of them were probably my fault. But it's irrelevant whose fault they were at this point. I moved on. I've been able to recover relatively. I'm thankful for the opportunity I have now. I'm thankful for the job. But just remember, everybody stumbles at some point. So don't let that beat you down. But don't let anybody make you feel bad about your performance, about who you are, without your permission. So anyway, the point is if you find yourself in that situation, get out. Period. Start looking, get out. We've talked about the stealth job search, the undercover job search. Do it. Okay. If you find yourself in a relationship like that, once you acknowledge and realize, yeah, this is not going to be good for me long term or short term, get out. I already touched on it, but one of the other comments I had from someone was about blaming themselves. You're in transition, and it's very easy to blame yourself for your situation. Maybe you shouldn't have gotten up and smacked your boss in the back of the head. That was your fault. Okay, that one, yeah, you take the blame for that one. That was you. That was you. But for the other 99% of us, invariably, it's not our fault. You're in transition because of circumstances. You're in transition because they decided they wanted a new manufacturing plant. They wanted to move it. I tell the story. I have a friend who worked for the International Olympic Organization here in Atlanta, and they up and moved to Switzerland, and everybody's jobs went to Switzerland. And unless you were willing to move to Switzerland, you lost your job. That had nothing to do with this person. It just happens. A lot of times, that's what happens. Stuff just happens. Companies see the bottom line for whatever reason, and sometimes they're making money, sometimes they're not, and they say, well, you know what, we need to shut down this facility, or we need to consolidate this, or we need to lay off X number of people, and it happens, and you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't personalize it, don't internalize it, don't act like, don't start to feel like it was your fault that you're in transition. Okay, the only thing is your fault is how you deal with it, because honestly, getting a job, as we've said many times, it is like getting struck by lightning sometimes. It's that random. It's just you be in the right place at the right time, wearing the right suit, with the right cologne on, with the right hairstyle, with the whatever. Okay, sometimes it's that simple. Last thing I want to talk about, we got a few minutes left, is teach your children early, people. I'm in a situation where I have a high school senior right now, and we're looking at schools and scholarships and things like that. Teach your children early. The most important 4 years of their life, people, is 9th to 12th grade. Why do I say that? Because that's when colleges start tracking their grades. Okay, and there are kids that go to class every day. Every day, don't miss a class and come out of high school with a 2.0 average. It's not because they're stupid, because they didn't apply, because they didn't have the parents. You guys got to keep it going, keep forcing, pushing. I feel one of the biggest tragedies is when somebody can't go to college because of money. That's sad. It's sad that we have that happening in this country. There's a lot of scholarships out there, people. There's lots of scholarships out there. If you truly want your child, and your child truly wants to go to college, find a way. Like Hannibal, the guy, the African guy who conquered Italy a couple hundred years ago, that nobody talks about. He had a saying. They said, if we cannot find a way, we will build a way. And that's my mantra for life. If I can't find a way, I will build a way. Teach your children early, people. Teach them early. Okay. The worst thing in the world is for your child to end up in a situation where they can't find a job. So teach them early. Start early. Instill in them the drive. Instill in them to be self-strong. Not about physical strength, but emotional strength, spiritual strength. Okay. Yeah, I know that was a rat hole. Too bad. Anyway, people, thanks for listening. If you are listening on the website, feel free to subscribe in iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave feedback so others can find it. And I truly appreciate it. If you have a suggestion for a topic you would like me to cover in either the podcast or the 1 Minute Bunny Tip, and I swear I'm going to get back to those. I just been too busy. Please let me know. You can send it to me at Tyrone@bunnyslippersarevil.com. When you land, please don't forget us. Please support this show by visiting our Cafe Press store and buying a t-shirt, a water bottle, a coffee mug, a clock, or a sweatshirt with our logo on it. I don't make a lot of money off those things. Trust me, I don't make a lot of money off those things. But I want you to have memento of your time in transition. I want you to never forget what it felt like. It's like when you're a kid and you get burned by putting your hand on the stove. You never forget it. Okay? So anyway, with the last 40 seconds, thank you. Remember, Job Search Speed Dating, November 14th, 2015, 10 to 10:30 a.m. The number to call is 347-202-0929. Tell all your friends, have a party, but call in with your elevator speech and be ready to put it on the air. Okay? It's free, no charge. Anyway, with that, everybody, I want to thank you all, as usual, for supporting the show the way you have and supporting, this idea, this crazy idea that I had. So, with that, next week we should be normal time. So next few weeks. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.